Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We're very glad you're with us today. It is December 10th, 2021. Our agenda this morning, we'll start out with success stories. I do know of two people who have landed in the past week who told me about it. We'll then go to our 30-second introductions. We'll have everybody put their introductions into the chat window. We'll then go to our committee reports. We'll hear about workshop, job fairs, the practice interview team, the interview success workshop, the career tip of the week, and then we will have our main event starting around 10 o'clock. For those people on Zoom, if you will, please open up the chat box. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please enter your questions there. For those people watching on Facebook right now, thank you for joining us. Please enter any questions you have into the comment field. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the CareerUSA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. Here we go. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2007, I started facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the leader of the group got a job and said, who wanted to take over? And I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been doing this since 2007. In 2008, I started a website called CareerDFW.org to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, after being invited to go to the White House for a job club forum up there, I decided to launch CareerUSA.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a couple moments. Well, we like to start the meeting off with success stories. I know of two people who have landed. I'll tell you those two, and then if anybody else is on the line here who has landed, you're welcome to let me know about that. Our first landing that I know about is Beverly Grace Edwards. She said she's landed at Lock Legacy Saloons, and she's loving what she does. After my job was eliminated in November of 2020, she took advantage of all the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group had to offer job seekers. After much prayer, I enrolled in cosmetology school, and I'm now a licensed cosmetologist. Thank you for all the information and dedication from you and all those involved in helping job seekers. You all are truly a blessing. May God continue to bless you tremendously. So Beverly makes our 96th landing out of this group for the year. And then number 97 is Jim Waldron. Good news, I finally landed a full-time salaried position. I started last Monday as a product portfolio manager at Allied Electronics and Automation in Fort Worth. It's a hybrid position, so I'll be working from home mostly and only driving to the office in Fort Worth one day a week. Thank you for your ongoing support and leadership of this organization. Please let people know to reach out to me if they see a position at Allied Electronics and Automation. I'd be happy to help them I'll be happy to try to help them out. So Jim makes number 97. So I'm sure, these are two people in the last 2 weeks between Christmas and Thanksgiving Thanksgiving and Christmas we've landed. And I'm sure there'll be a couple more people out there. So I'm very hopeful that we will definitely break 100 landings this year again. And I think we did 101 last year, last year. So is there anybody else who's landed? Any other news from anybody else who's landed? Mark, do you have a landing?
Yes, I do. So let me find it real quick. I'm not sure if she was too involved in the North Dallas Career Focus Group, but Natasha Chiafoli landed with the American Heart Association as a quality improvement manager. So she practiced for that position the first week of November, and here it is the first week of December, and she's going to work on Monday. So there you go. That's how it happens. It can happen very quickly, sometimes even faster than that. But, a month ago, she was looking for work, and now she's going to work. So congratulations to Natasha.
Great. Thank you very, very much. Anybody else? Any other news from anybody? All right. Well, let's move on here. Okay. What we'd like everybody to do, if you will, open up your chat box and please put in there your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. And what I will do is I will copy all this information and I will put it out to an email this afternoon with all the details. And hopefully you'd have an opportunity this weekend or this afternoon or tonight to take a look at that list, see who's on there, see if you can help anybody on that list. You know, try to help one person every day, take a look and see who you can help out. So if you will, put your information in there. For those people who are watching on Facebook, I will go and delete your personal information out of the comment field right after this meeting's over, so that won't hang out there forever and ever. So if you'd like to do that, we'd really appreciate it. Also, by telling me that you're here in the chat box and putting in your name and information, that's what I use to update the roster. So if you want to make sure that the roster is updated with your name and to make sure that you can count this as a workforce commission as one of your 5 or 6 things that you have to do every week. If you're using us, you know, please, you need to make sure that you're counted on the roster. So if TWC comes looking, wants information, I can provide that for them. So let me give you 30 seconds on the clock. All right, plenty of time. You're welcome to continue on and put your information in. If you haven't had an opportunity to do it, please do so. It really would be appreciated. All right. It's time to hear about job, career fairs, training, and workshops that are going on next week. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. As Jeff indicated, I'm going to present to you information on career and job fairs and special workshops or events that are going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This information comes from the calendar tab on the webpage CareerDFW.org, and there it is in front of you on your screens. The various colors indicate various different topics that are scheduled throughout the weeks and months. I go through these items fairly quickly, so if you hear something that catches your ear, I urge you to go to the calendar, select the appropriate tab and the appropriate event. You'll usually find a link that has more information and or will allow you to register for that event. All right, having said that, this week's career and job fairs. There is a job fair that will be held at 3020 Northwest Moreland Road in Dallas on Tuesday, December 14th from 10 a.m. to noon. Their participating employers are Ollie's Bargain Center, BFS Web, Kimco, Janitorial Services, Abacus STA, Goodwill, and more. And there's a phone number and a person to contact there if you have any questions about that event. This week's special workshops or events. Online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, and Ruth Lipsky or Kurt Vondemutter each week for an online session on LinkedIn. There's a Zoom link for that, and there is a Facebook link to participate as well. Also online, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Wednesday, December 15th from 10 a.m. to noon. There's a registration link for this, and I believe you must register to attend. This event is hosted by Foster Williams, who was with us last week. I don't know if he's here this week, but if you don't know Foster, I urge you to get to know him. He's one of our local area recruiters and an overall great guy. Next online, Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. This workshop is hosted by Mark McDonald, who's the leader of our Pitt crew, and Walt Glass, who runs our Interview Success Workshop. This week's session is TBA, and I guess, Jeff, you're going to tell us finally today.
It's going to be Jack Bick. He's going to be talking about the clarity of your job search. So Jack will be presenting.
Okay, Jack's a really good speaker. If you haven't heard him, I urge you to participate in that. It'll be a really good seminar. Also online, the Effective Resume Seminar, Thursday, December 16th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join us each month on the first and third Thursdays for our Effective Resume Seminars. And you can join live on Zoom and Facebook, and there's a link in the calendar for you to participate. Online, the third Friday Internet of Things Special Interest Group Breakfast will be held Friday, December 17th from 7:40 a.m. to 9 a.m. There is a link to find out more about that. They have been meeting virtually for the last several months. I don't know how long they're going to continue to do that. They'd like to get back together. But if you're interested in the Internet of Things, this is a good place to find out about what's going on in the DFW area. This is hosted by Ed Hightower, who used to actually be a member of this particular group. And that's it for this week. Thank
Great.
you, Jeff.
Thank you very, very much. All right, let's see here. What do we have coming up next? Just if you happen to know anybody who's unemployed, please let them know about CareerDFW and CareerUSA and all the services that we provide and the workshops that we have out there. If you know somebody who just lost their job, tell them right there on the front page. They can click here for help and get some really great information on how to get their job search started. All right, time to hear from the practice and review team. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. I see a couple of names I haven't seen before, so welcome. And before I forget, everything the Pitt crew does is free. I have a group of volunteers who have all been hiring managers as part of their professional responsibility, and they're the ones that give the interviews. So don't worry about cost. It's all covered. It's a volunteer thing. And we do it to help those in job transition because we've all been in job transition as well. And as a matter of fact, about 90% of the volunteers are currently in job transition. I personally was laid off 3 times during the last 10 years of my career. So I've been through this process that you've been through. And so I bring that to the interview experience that we provide. So that's number one, everything's free. Number two, I am looking for more volunteers to add to my list. Over the summertime and through the fall, I had 8 volunteers land. And so I picked up 2 more. I need to pick up 6 more. So if you'd like to participate in helping other people during job transition while you're in job transition, the only prerequisite, as I mentioned, is that you have been a hiring manager or in talent acquisition. And reach out to me and I'll tell you how to get you involved. There's no big commitment involved and it doesn't matter what industry you are in. So there you go. Now, let's get to the business at hand, practice interviews. So what we do is we give you a very realistic interview experience, and that's based on a job description and a resume that you provide. So the interview is customized for the job description that you pick. It's personalized for the situation where you are. If you're in the first, second, third round, I just got a request this morning for someone who's going to the final round of their interview with the Dallas Fed Bank, I believe. And so they're going to come and practice for that final round. So that's great. But you don't have to wait till the end. You can practice for your very first round. You can even practice for a job that looks good for you that you're not engaged in. So if you find your dream job description, practice early and practice often is what we say, because every time you practice, you're going to build your confidence, learn how to handle unusual situations that may come up during the interview. And of course, practice convincing someone that you're the right person for that particular job that you've picked out. So that's all good. And the record for the number of practice interviews in a year is 9. So, we welcome and repeat practice sessions. We think that's a great way to be well prepared for interviewing. So when you're ready to practice, just send me that job description and your resume. And when you're available, +2 and +3 business days. So it takes a couple of days to get everybody's schedules organized at your schedule, +3 interviewers. So if you include that information right up front, I'll be able to get started right away. We do the interviews, Monday through Friday, based on your schedule, usually in the afternoon. Most of the time end up being in the afternoon. And we can even do them on the weekends if you have a special situation, if you're working or childcare or whatever your situation is. We'll try to set one up on the weekend for you as well. And also over Christmas, we're going to be available. They're all volunteers. So if you've got an opportunity that comes up, an actual interview that comes up over Christmas, just reach out to me and, I'll see if I can put together a team to give you a practice session. I think a lot of recruiters work in the holiday region because the beginning of the year is kind of their deadline to get somebody in. So you may be contacted in that period right before Christmas and between Christmas and New Year's. If you want to practice, Pitt Crew's will do our best to give you an opportunity. At the very least, you can have a coaching session one-on-one. So we're available for you. Send in your information. So that's a two-way interview, Zoom call. You can also get a recording. The Pitt Crew also has a one-way interview offering. So this is a popular thing, or was a few months ago, at least. I haven't heard that much about it now, but this is where you interact with a bot essentially, and they ask you questions and you answer them and they get recorded. It's very awkward. So the Pitt Crew has an offering to allow you to practice doing that. And I give you the questions in advance. I make it as easy for you as possible. I give you the questions in advance so you don't have to wonder what you're going to be asked. And then I give you a link to the tool, and then you just engage the tool, record your answers. Afterwards, you get a link to the video, which you can look at and see how you did. The goal of this effort for the Pitt Crew is just to get you used to working with these kinds of tools, and not anything more than that. Walt's got his own offering that helps you, gives you a chance to practice other questions. I'm going to post up my contact information here. So this is, it'll work. No. There it is. This is how to reach the Pitt Crew, DallasPittCrew@gmail.com. The phone number's there as well, and also my LinkedIn profile. And there's a picture of my LinkedIn profile there. So please link in with me, and my network will help you find contacts inside companies. Just send me a brief note that said we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group, and I'll add you to my network. That'll be good.
Is that it? All right, Mark, thank you very, very much. All right, let's see here. Come on, slides. There we go. Good morning, Walt.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another chapter in interviewing practice. So after I retired, and I was looking around to say, what can I do? And I remembered going through the job search process and how after working for a company for 25 years, getting laid off and thinking I'd be working in 3 months, and it took me 15 months to find a job, and all the things you have to learn and do. And I said, where the rubber meets the road is really the interview. And since I had done all the things on networking, got inside the company and sat across from the table from a person who just asked me one question. He said, Walter, what can you do for me? I had no idea. I tell you, I could go through my resume and tell you all the things I do, but I could not begin to describe the value that I brought to that particular role and to that particular company. So I did a deep dive into interviewing, and I came up with a model. Just what is it that companies are buying? And they're buying 3 things. That's who we are, our personality, our soft skills, our characteristics, what we do, that's our experience, our hard skills, our education background, all the things that we've done, and how we can help them, the value that we bring. So how do we sell that? Because the interview is a selling presentation. So how do we sell those 3 things in an interview? So I developed the Interview Success Workshop, just designed for informally and to have some fun, to learn how to differentiate ourselves through selling I am, I do, and I help. So all you have to do is look me up on LinkedIn, see my About section. It gives you some more details about it. It's very informal. It's a learning situation. It's a learning deal. This is something you can learn so that when you do the regular practice interviews through the Pitt Crew, which I hardly recommend you do multiple times, that you say, okay, I know what I can prepare. I know what I can sell. I know how I bring value to the company. I know how to differentiate myself from those other candidates. So I would welcome you to participate. There's no need to sit there and have some fierce worries and concerns and stress. All you have to do is just come participate, because you just learn, and that's why you're coming to begin with. So we're glad to have you. Just send me an email to the Yahoo email address that I have reserved for the workshop, and I'll be glad to give you dates, and we'll work out a schedule for you to participate. You will get a video, and you'll get some handouts as well, and a video that goes over the handouts. So you get plenty of information to help you learn those things that I just discussed. So glad to have you participate. Since we can have some fun, I call the workshop Learning Without Squirming. During interviews, do you feel insecure? with stress, anxiety, and perhaps some fear. Come practice gaining confidence, knowledge, and wisdom so you can rejoin the employed kingdom.
Whoop, sorry about that. Come on, applause. Here we go. Gotta come up with a way to make that easy for me. Thank you very much, Walt. All
Yeah,
right,
that's
it's time
kind
to
of
hear.
a stretch to call it poetry, but
Right.
it is, at least it fits the corny definition.
Right, okay, maybe I'll change it to corniness of the week, okay. All right, it's time to hear from the career tip of the week. It's on the CareerDFW, CareerUSA website each week. There's a new tip. Good morning, Liz.
Well, good morning. Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. The tip of the week is the average recruiter initially spends 7.4 seconds scanning a resume. This is by Michelle Fox. If you hope to land a new job, you'll want to make sure your resume catches the eyes of recruiters. The first thing you should do is shift your mindset and certified professional career coach, Matt Glotz, founder of Chicago-based executive resume writing firm, The Resume Pilots. Stop thinking so much about yourself and think more about what your reader is looking for and expecting to see. The COVID-19 pandemic has shifted what some employers consider important, including vaccination status. In this era of vaccine mandates, the number of job postings requiring candidates to be vaccinated against COVID-19 has doubled since the end of September. And meanwhile, President Joe Biden's vaccine and testing mandate for private businesses is currently working its way through the court system. Whether or not you put your vaccination status on your resume is a personal decision, said Amanda Augustine, career advice expert at New York-based resume writing service Top Resume. If you are okay putting the information out there and that is status for you, you are better off because there are employers that are ignoring candidates that don't disclose that information. In fact, 33% of hiring managers will automatically eliminate resumes that don't include a COVID-19 vaccine status. It surveyed 1,250 hiring managers across the United States in August. With that in mind, here are 5 strategies to make your resume stand out. Number 1, demonstrate flexibility. Adaptability and flexibility are the top skills employers believe have greater importance since the pandemic hit. An October 2020 Top Resume survey of 334 hiring professionals found. Critical thinking and problem solving, communication, collaboration, and teamwork are also important to employers these days. While it may feel challenging to get these skills across on your resume, think about the most recent work you have done that can demonstrate those skills. Talk about how you created results, got something done on time, contributed to your organization, and the steps you took to get there. If you've worked remotely during the pandemic, be sure to include that by simply putting it in parentheses next to your title in the experience section. Number 2, present a compelling narrative. Your resume should tell a clear story as to why your experience and skills qualify you for the position you are applying for. Top Resume recommends a hybrid resume format that is not fully chronological. Instead, the top third of the resume should give employers a quick glance at why it makes sense to talk to you. It should include your contact information, professional title, professional summary, and areas of expertise. Number 3, show your impact. Recruiters want to see the impact you've made to your prior or current organization. And if your experience section is very task-based, focused on day-to-day, it will read more like a job description instead of painting a picture for recruiters, Glotz said. Take the task and turn it into an achievement, he advised. For example, show how much a project increased the company's revenue and saved the business money. Number 4, format matters. The average hiring professional spends 7.4 seconds scanning a resume before deciding whether to look at the candidate more closely. A Ladders study found. When you have such a little time to capture their attention and zero in on your application, you want to make sure it is easy for them to scan and understand your career narrative, Augustine said. Don't make your experience an endless list of bullet points or dense paragraphs. Instead, Create a short paragraph under your job that describes the role and responsibilities. Then use your bullet points as bragging points to demonstrate your achievements. Stay away from custom or overly intricate font styles. Use a classic resume template organized with conventional headings, Claude said. Carefully proofread it line by line, looking at not only grammar and phrasing, but making sure your spacing and fonts are consistent throughout. Your professionalism is really going to be demonstrated by how you present your document, Claude said. And number 5, don't forget a cover letter. When Top Resume asks hiring managers if they are more likely to read cover letters now than before the pandemic, 48% said yes. It won't hurt your application if you include it, but you could be hurting your chances of a call back if you don't, Augustine said. Don't make it generic. Instead, customize it by including what you've learned about the company and what they are looking for in a candidate for the role you are applying for. Well, good luck, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very, very much, Liz. And, listening to your talk, and Geneva asked the question in the chat, what's the recommended area on your resume that you should add vaccination status? Where should you put it? Great question. I don't really know what that answer is, but I plan to reach out to some of the people who've spoken, resume experts, and ask them for their opinion, because I think it's a valid thing. So anybody have opinions who are on the call right now?
I'd give it some thought because there's 2 camps on vaccinations. And so one camp says, I totally disagree. And the other camp says we all ought to get them. So you may be putting some liability out there, something that's controversial on your resume.
Some online application. I was wondering about that because, yes, I know there's 2 sides to everything, so I wasn't sure if I should put that. I have noticed online that on LinkedIn that there are employers that state that they are requiring it, but I haven't seen very many employers that are requiring it. So I didn't know what to do, but I just brought it up because it was in what Liz just read off to us. So thank you for.
I would like to say something. I know when I write a cover letter, I might the last paragraph, I may say I am fully vaccinated and I've had my booster.
Okay.
Because that's just kind of an extra star,
Yeah.
So
maybe not put it on the resume, but on the cover letter, maybe.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
And yes, it is very controversial, but at least they know, hey, that's just kind of an extra star for you.
Okay. I think that's a good recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, if you see it in the job description, you should probably add it. And but I will this week. I will put an email out to all the resume experts who've spoken to on our Thursday class and ask their opinion, and come back next week and I'll tell you what the results were from everybody.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Really good. Thank you. All right. Lunch report. If you'd like to join us for lunch today and you are fully vaccinated, you're welcome to join us today at Jason's Deli, 4801 West Parker, Suite 105 in Plano. It's on the northeast corner of Parker and Preston. Parker and Preston, you're welcome to join us. So hopefully we'll see you at Jason's Deli. I am still working on how much that big hamburger will cost. I did go and figure out that there's 8 hamburger patties, 2 chicken sandwiches, looks like ham, 8 slices of cheese, jalapeno. So I'm working on a cost right now. So I'll get back to you as soon as I can on that. All right, we'd love to, for everybody who's out there, if you will, especially during our presentation, open up your camera, let us see who you are. Our speaker would really appreciate it. That way we can see face, we can get feedback on people. So it really would be appreciated if you leave your camera on during the presentation. Today, during our presentation coming up in just a couple minutes, Mike Chapman is with us. We'll talk about medical insurance update and common pitfalls to avoid. But I want to talk about our upcoming sessions. Next Friday will be the last session we have for the year. And as we have for the last several years, we have a master tax advisor, Susan Holly, who works at H&R Block, or now it's just called Block Advisors, I think. And she's going to tell us, what we should be looking for and what we should be considering and what we can do, and what we can deduct, what we can't deduct this year in our taxes. So she'll be with us next Friday. And then, as I said, the 24th and the 31st, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we will not have any sessions those 2 Fridays because of the holidays, and we'll be back the first Friday in January, and it will be with open forum. All right, it's time for our main event. Many of you know Mike Chapman. Many of you, if you don't know Mike Chapman, you need to know Mike Chapman. I've known Mike for 15 years, 18 years. It's been a long time. Mike has always been there to help anybody with their insurance needs, to help the unemployed, especially with their insurance needs. So Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself and you can tell more people about who you are, and it's all yours.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can get to the right. There we go. So let me go to the start of this thing. And I'm not going to promise you I won't PowerPoint you to death, but this keeps me on track, and it's helpful for you too. All right, there we go. All right, my name is Mike Chapman. I'm a former job seeker. At the age of 47, after 9/11, I became a single parent and decided I could no longer live out of DFW and live out of suitcases all month long. I was responsible for raising 2 kids, and that's when I decided to jump out of the corporate track and go into an area I knew nothing about, and that is healthcare and insurance. I knew something as a person, all right, as an individual. I had family members that had pre-existing conditions, and we moved around the country a lot, and each state had a different set of rules and regulations and insurance companies. And I was the guy that handled that. So it intrigued me, and I never looked back. I really enjoy what I'm doing. It is, as you probably know, one of the most confounding and frustrating and confusing topics, even more so than politics, because you can turn that off, but you can't turn off your health or that of your family members. And as you get older, those things become more important. And as you have family members, that becomes more important. I put my contact info up here. I have a number of videos from past recordings on my YouTube channel. You can go here to look at plans. The problem with insurance is the minute you go online and post your information, you get calls from like 100 insurance agents working in a call center all across the country that have purchased your lead, and boom, your phone is going to ring for 90 days. I don't do that. This is my, if you will, my ministry. It's not, it keeps a roof over my head, but that's not, my intent here is not to sell. My intent is to educate. I'm a lousy salesperson, even though I've been in sales my own life. I've always been a good listener and always done what's best for the individual. Now, I will tell you, we are in the last final days of open enrollment. Medicare open enrollment ended Monday, I guess, the 7th. And the current deadline for plans through the Affordable Care Act for people under 65 is the 15th, which is just around the corner. Now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that date is extended on the 15th. Say, whoops, we're going to have just like they do on Cyber Monday, you know, they'll extend it for a couple of days. Same thing could happen, but you can't count on that. And there will also be, for many people, for the first time, there will be monthly open enrollment opportunities depending upon your age and your income. And I'll talk about that in a second. I have found, I'm integrating this. I make myself readily available for phone calls. I've been indoctrinated through 40 plus years in sales and marketing that answering the phone is the most important thing you can do. However, I have found over the past 3 weeks that when I do that, there are days recently when I have not been able to get any work done because I'm answering the phone. So I've got a appointment scheduler that frees up some of my time to do valuable homework for clients and for people who call in advance. And so you can set up a time that saves me having to call you back. And, you know, also I'll talk about email etiquette. We're recording this, but take some notes. And also when you ask questions, don't ask protected health information. I'll answer them afterwards. You can call or text me. I will, and call me on my cell phone or office line, but I may not read an email till like 2 or 3 in the morning, literally. So if you call or text in the next 2 or 3 hours, I will answer the phone right away. After that, it would be good if you could call my appointment scheduler, because I'll be busy working. I've been doing this for pretty close to 20 years. I'm also, I'm considered a subject matter expert in this area. I represent every insurance company that is available in Texas and most in 14 other states, which means months of annual compliance and certification training. And I study the laws and regulations, and they're always changing. And this is no cost advice, okay? It doesn't cost you a dime more than if you were to try to do this yourself, or go online or call an insurance company. You know, I don't think about compensation, okay? I want you to know that my job is to help guide you through a difficult subject. Now, this year there were a number of extras as a result of COVID. There were extra premium tax credits. These are going to be extended through 2022. There were also special enrollment periods this year. In fact, in April, there was an open enrollment extended into April due to COVID. And there was even a period of time this year where there was 6 months of free COBRA. The part that is extending through next year is that there are extra premium tax credits as part of the ARPA Act that will extend throughout next year. There will be monthly open enrollment periods for people. There is no extension of a premium tax credit for people that are unemployed the way there was this year. If you were unemployed in 2021 and had as little as $1 of unemployment income, through the end of this year, you would qualify for the maximum premium tax credit, which reduces the cost of your insurance and also subsidizes your out-of-pocket expenses. I'll talk about premium tax credit in a minute. Also, this year, open enrollment for January 1st coverage ends. You have to submit an application by December 15th, a few days from now. But you can also get coverage beginning February 1st if you enroll by the 15th of the month. Okay. Some other changes. Hospitals are now required as of January 1st to post what it costs to have different types of surgeries or procedures. This bill was passed in 2019, I believe, and but it was delayed to refine things until January. There's also considerable amount of legislation that is being massaged in Washington, D.C. that will increase the social safety net for all Americans. And because of the current Democratic majority, this really can't be totally derailed by filibuster activities. And let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of play with healthcare in midterm elections. Some of the rumored additions are lowering the Medicare eligibility age and also adding dental, vision, and or hearing benefits to original Medicare. And there's literally over 80 bills in Congress just dealing with Medicare. All right, this is new. This is from Center for Medicare Services. And I want to explain this chart. And you just pencil down this number based on your household size. All right, this is what the federal poverty level is. Below this, if you're on this side of the line to the left, you're not eligible for what's called a premium tax credit in Texas. In those states that expanded Medicaid, for instance, Arkansas, you would be eligible for Medicaid. We have not done that. I'll go back to that in a second. However, next year, 2022, which is about 2 weeks away, if your income is below this number, 150% of the federal poverty line, then you will be eligible to enroll in coverage. So if, especially in the first half of the year, if your income, if you've lost income due to your job loss, and you have knowledge that your income may be below this number, then regardless of where you are in the year, you can enroll in a plan through the Affordable Care Act. And this is the only place other than COBRA that will cover any and all pre-existing conditions. So everybody have that. You've penciled down your number based on your household size. Now, from 138 to 100% of income, you're eligible for what's called cost sharing, another term which I'll explain. Let's say you have a deductible with an $8,000 deductible and copays and coinsurance. Well, if you're eligible for cost sharing, that deductible and those out-of-pocket expenses are subsidized by Uncle Sam. And the closer you get to 100%, then the more cost sharing you're eligible for. But below this number in Texas, you're not eligible for a tax credit. However, legislation has been approved that in those states that did not expand Medicaid, for instance, Texas, there will be some additional funding that will be defined during the mid to late half of 2022 to help those individuals that are near the federal poverty level to be able to have insurance at even lower cost. That again has to be interpreted and defined by lots of people in Washington and Austin as to how that would roll out. Okay, likely to pass. A lot of play because it's an election year. This item here now, it's currently, and this could change, currently it's likely that hearing coverage or hearing aids will be added to Medicare. And there may be some things that you see here. Now, federal legislation in Texas. In Texas, we have 4.5 million people who are uninsured. When this expansion takes place that I was mentioning earlier, there will be a safety net that people below 13,000 would be eligible for premium tax credit that reduces the cost of insurance. It's kind of cruel, but it is taxpayers' money. Below 13,000, you've got to pay the full cost. And anybody who's making less than $13,000 a year, if you're in your 50s or 60s, you certainly can't afford $600 to $900 for a plan with a very high deductible and high out-of-pocket expenses. So this federal legislation will help that. And that has a huge, because of the number of insureds, this is being targeted for Texas because of the potential for Texas to become a purple state, if you will, and eventually a blue state. This is in the works. This is a bill, Improving Medicare Coverage Act. There are a dozen bills at different ages. It's going to most likely happen. That has a huge impact if this happens, not only on people that are on, say, COBRA or Plan Through the Affordable Care Act, but employers and even more so on hospitals and doctors. Why is that? Medicare kind of covers the lights. It is the reimbursement on Medicare is about 2/3 of what the reimbursement is for a provider, a doctor, or hospital for an employer plan. So if more people gravitate towards Medicare coverage at an earlier age, what happens? That means that there will be few people on an employer plan, which will lead to potential insolvency especially for smaller rural hospitals, because they've lost one of the higher margin segments of their business. Okay, surprise promotion. This year, anybody who had any amount of income qualified for the maximum premium tax credit that reduced their cost of insurance way down. That has not been extended beyond 2021, but an executive order could do that. Same with free COBRA. There were 6 months of free COBRA. That could possibly be coming back at some point during the year. Now, how do I determine if I qualify for premium tax credit? I'm going to talk to you about that, but I'm going to suggest make an appointment with me. Within about 5 minutes, I'll get all the information you need. And literally, I help people every day with a number of pre-existing conditions, ranging from severe diabetes to I've become an expert in MS lately, and a number of other diseases, how to manage their healthcare costs through the Affordable Care Act. And you can do this yourself, but it's kind of like, do you want to, during a job search, do you want to waste your time doing your own taxes, or do you want to pay somebody to do it so you can concentrate on your job search?
Can I interrupt and ask a question?
Absolutely. Who's speaking?
This is Walt Glass.
Hi,
Good day
Walt.
to you.
How you doing?
I've been thinking about this previous slide on reducing the age limit for Medicare.
Mhm.
And one of the things that occurred to me that happened was when I was working and I elected to get onto Medicare, I found that the company was not giving me any more cost, reimbursement, except what Medicare would pay. They would only pay what Medicare would do. And so I'm paying 2.5, 3 times a premium for getting the same type of coverage. So before I might get a reimbursement, of $300, and now I get a reimbursement of $14. That may be true. Is that true now for those of us who might be eligible for Medicare, but not taking it? That still might be the rule. Is there anything going on with that?
Oh, Walt, I should pay you $1 later. You brought up some questions I'm going to address. I've got a section that's going to go through Medicare for those people that are already age 65 or approaching it. There are a number of pitfalls that you need to know about, and I'll talk about. It really varies by person, Walt, to answer your question.
I can wait till later. If you're gonna cover it later, that's be fine.
But there is no absolute. One of the things I want you to know is that people are like snowflakes. There's no two alike. Everybody has different risk tolerance. Everybody has different finances. Okay, your health and your doctors and your medications and how you look at the world may be totally different than your spouse. And this is you don't want to take a cookie cutter one size fits all approach. But I'll tell you what the factors are. I've got a section about the factors that you need to consider. Now, this is the number, at least right now through open enrollment. This is actually an AI scheduling system. So, a bot will talk to you and you can make an appointment. And what this allows me to do is free up some of my time to be able to do the homework for clients rather than, setting an appointment. And I just ask you to do this versus sending emails, because it'll be a day later before I even read the email. Other changes that are happening in insurance. Insurance companies are starting to charge for COVID testing and treatment right now and early next year, primarily in self-funded companies, self-funded plans, which are larger companies. There's been already an increase in chronic disease because guess what? Doctors' offices were closed for last year. Hospitals in New York are closing again. That means fewer diagnoses, fewer surgeries. You're also seeing the increase in health insurance premiums for people that are unvaccinated. And believe it or not, well, you probably can believe it, because of COVID, there has been a massive increase in life insurance claims this year versus a year ago due to COVID. And I've experienced that with a client who, a very young client who died of COVID, and I have a number of clients that have had COVID. It will make a difference in life insurance premiums if you have been diagnosed with or treated for COVID. So just beware, and who knows where this will lead. It's creating all kinds of interesting sidebar conversations between HR and top management. You can be sure of that. Other changes. There's a star rating system that is used in Medicare that is now starting to be used in the Affordable Care Act plans. There's been some very, very poor customer service. I mean, horrendous wait times on hold and all kinds of poor practices by medical insurance companies in their Affordable Care Act segment of their business. So the star rating system, it's not perfect, and it's going to take a couple of years to implement. But this is the carrot and the stick. In Medicare, those companies and those doctors and those hospitals that have good customer service, they get reimbursed more. And those that don't lose business, they lose clients and patients, and they lose, they get reimbursed less. And this is going to happen in plans through the Affordable Care Act too, but it's going to take another year before some of the sticks and carrots are really put in. But the fact that they are rating plans is a good thing. The other thing is this No Surprises Act goes into effect January 1st. Texas is one of the worst states for these urgent care clinics on every corner, that many of them are out of network. So, you go in complaining or something, and they want to do a chest x-ray or something, and all of a sudden you have an out of network bill for a couple $1,000s that you weren't counting on. All of this is, again, this is compromise bill, and it's the first pass, but every urgent care center and every facility will have to post somewhere in their, could be in their waiting room or in their break room, but somewhere to the public, what the prices are for certain things. And the other thing is that out of network surprise bills, that will be negotiated between the insurance company and the healthcare provider, and the consumer won't be caught in the middle. Other changes. There are several new health insurance companies in Texas and in other states. So you have a company by the name of Bright Health. Aetna CVS has health insurance plans, although not in Dallas-Fort Worth. They're in other areas of Texas and in other states. United Healthcare was in the health at Healthcare.gov the first 2 years. However, they bailed out, but they're back in. And then a company by the name of Friday. It's their second year in the market, and they're expanding. And then you have other companies that are expanding in counties and in states. Cigna, not a factor here in North Texas, but in other areas. Oscar Health is expanding in the number of counties, and a company called Clover. There's a lot of really cool technology between Bright Health, United Healthcare, Oscar Health, and Clover. They have cutting edge AI enabled technology that is propelling them to the head of the pack, or will. And everybody's expanding in the Medicare and Medicaid area also. You probably have not heard, you probably don't know the name of the largest health insurance company in the country. It's a company by the name of Centene. You might have said Blue Cross, United Healthcare. It's a company called Centene, which now insures somewhere about 70 million Americans, including people in Medicare and Medicaid and individual insurance through the Affordable Care Act or or outside of the Affordable Care Act, and then also employer plans, mainly through expansion. Who knows who this guy is? Come on. Well, you're older. You're about my age. You remember this guy? All right. Does the name Johnny Paycheck ring a bell?
Well, my age is such that my memory is shot. So,
Yeah, you're mine both. Johnny Paycheck made famous a famous song by the name of "Take That Job and Shove It." Now, imagine the HR and the health insurance and COBRA implications when you have 4.5 or 5 million Americans changing jobs every month. Is that incredible? I mean, when you think about the job that HR has to do from a compliance standpoint, and then, switching back and forth temporarily between an employer plan, COBRA, plans through the Affordable Care Act, or Medicaid, back and forth, it's a real, it's new territory. It's unprecedented. Another overused word. Here's one of the companies in North Texas and in other areas, a company by the name of Bright Healthcare. Very simple to understand plans. Silver plans that offer zero copay on preferred drugs, low copays for specialty care, zero deductible options. This is an HMO network. Here's where they are in North Texas, the counties, and here's where they are in south areas of Texas. Again, it's an HMO network. Yeah, this is a good option for healthy people with no health conditions or critical doctors, because they're new, they're still building out their network of doctors. They also have wellness incentives. Here's where they are in Dallas. They're in these counties. Here's who their hospital networks are with Medical City, Dallas Methodist, Catalyst Health Network. You're not going to be able to go to Presbyterian or Baylor or UT Southwestern with this plan, but if you're relatively healthy and you're fine going to these hospitals, that would be an option. It could save you money. United Healthcare, not the United Healthcare you may have had or have now with COBRA. This is an Affordable Care Act plan that uses primarily Medical City doctors in the Metroplex, and it's an HMO. They actually have 2 HMO networks, which makes it even more confusing. Zero care virtual visits, so you can FaceTime or have a consultation with a doctor from your cell phone, and then if it's warranted, they will funnel you to a specialist who just happens to be in the United Healthcare Optum network. One of the selling points is you get a free 1-year Peloton membership. You don't get the bike, but you get access to a pretty cool app. And you get a cash reward simply for seeing a primary care physician and getting a basic wellness checkup. Unfortunately, though, this is super, if you go to Healthcare.gov and like 99% of people just shop by price, well, they have 2 HMO networks. They have one that's broad, that has more, and they have one that's narrow. That means just doctors that are contracting that can survive on a lower reimbursement rate. And that's kind of like the difference between, and no offense, because I shop in both of these, that's kind of like the difference between shopping at Target and shopping at Dollar General. So the providers that are in the narrow lower network are those that need every dollar with people coming through the door. And that may be fine, but it may not be what you need for your health. Narrow and broad, they'll funnel you over to Optum doctors, which are owned by United Healthcare. Here's the Aetna CVS health plan. For those of you that are outside of the Metroplex, you get access to the health hubs and the in-store minute clinics as a member of this plan. And so if, let's say it's available in Austin, let's say you lived in Austin, if you're on this call, well, you could, if you're traveling to California with the other plans, you don't have access, you're out of network. With this plan, it's kind of innovative that they allow people when traveling to visit any MinuteClinic or health hub, and you have the telehealth access like the other cares. And you have an excellent specialty pharmacy network with CVS. Again, this is an HMO network. Finally, Friday. This is Friday health plans. This is what I'm finding. Literally, I've done probably close to 700 or 800 proposals for clients over the past 5 or 6 weeks. What I'm finding is this is often, may not be for you, but it's often one of the lowest cost, best value, silver and bronze plans in Dallas-Fort Worth because of this. It's cost competitive, but it has an EPO network. What is an EPO network? That means you do not have to get a referral from a primary care physician in order to see a specialist, the way the other HMO plans do. There is no coverage out of network, but at least you can pick up the phone and see a doc and make an appointment with an in-network physician, no matter what kind of physician it is, which, you know, it would be very hard to get in to see a doctor on an HMO plan. If you need to see a specialist and we're at what, December 8th, good luck trying to even get in to see a primary care physician between now and the end of the year, let alone a specialist, unless it's a triage type of emergency. This uses the medical city providers. Again, this is their second year, so it's starting to build out, but it's not going to be as extensive a network as some of the more established companies. Here are the more established companies. Ambetter, I'll talk about that. This gives you access to Baylor, Medical City, Children's, Cook's, and some Methodist hospitals. They have a wellness incentives. However, they have had an EPO network, but they're also offering an HMO network. So if you've had Ambetter in 2021, you may be given some options to renew, and you don't pick up that this is an HMO network. Well, that's a whole different world. If you're used to being able to pick up the phone and see a doctor, you can't do that with an HMO plan. And this is a warning for those people that shop on the basis of price. Okay, so you have, you may be asking, why are so many companies jumping into Affordable Care Act after what, 8 years? It's because they're betting on the progressive social safety net expansion that I talked about. And, you know, there's never been a more, a less expensive time to acquire companies and expand territories. Bright Health, the company I mentioned, they're expanding into 33 states, and that takes capital. Well, capital is pretty cheap right now. The other reason is that, quite frankly, the Blue Cross Blue Shields of you know, every affiliate in every state, they've been fairly complacent. They've been dumb, fat, and happy with not necessarily the best customer or patient experience either. So they're seeing competition here. And the other thing is, you're going to see that the government is subsidizing these plans so much that, you know, it's like health insurance is on a constant sale. It's like Macy's one-day sale throughout the year for one promotion, one expansion. So there's never been a better time for an insurance company to expand than when the government is pro-insurance and is making it affordable to so many Americans. Now, here's one caution, you know, in terms of pitfall. You have the 3 largest health insurance companies that are offering multiple provider networks in 2022. Blue Cross Blue Shield has 2 provider networks. United Healthcare has 2 provider networks. Centene, which in Texas is Ambetter, has 2 provider networks. That just creates havoc. So what happens is, at renewal, companies are moving people over time. It's kind of like boiling the frog to a narrower network with fewer doctors and hospitals and an HMO network in order to keep premiums the same or lower. There are some cases where premiums are actually lower than last year. But that doesn't mean that the doctors are being reimbursed more. In fact, they're being reimbursed less. And so the doctors in these networks may be less. And I can tell you, very few Americans know the difference between a narrow network or broad network, or PPO or an HMO or an EPO network. It's really hard to make comparisons. So whether it's me or somebody else, I would really recommend you work with somebody who can make all of these, help you make the best informed decision, not only for you, but for every specific member of your family. Medicare changes. Medicare has traditionally been coverage for, for people over 65. That may change. However, there's been a major increase of 15% in terms of the Part B premiums, which is what you pay for as an individual. You always pay for Part B. And also the increase in the deductible is over 15% too, but it's still a super bargain. And in 99% of the time, the Medicare allows you to see any doctor anywhere in the country, original Medicare. And the cost of Medicare and the supplemental coverage in 99% of the time is less expensive, unless like in Walt's case, they were subsidizing the cost. The employer was subsidizing the cost for people over 65. That's not often the case, but Medicare is usually more affordable for the individual. You have more carriers entering the, I think I ended up certifying with 23 or 24 Medicare companies this year. Half of them weren't in the market last year. You also have a number of plans that are now targeting low-income uninsured. You saw the 4.5 million uninsured Americans. That's why they're targeting that segment. That represents new growth for insurance companies. There are many more Medicare plans that are geared for specific chronic illnesses, such as diabetes, COPD, et cetera, that are life-threatening. And why? Well, Uncle Sam reimburses Medicare Advantage carriers more if they take good care of clients with critical illness conditions than healthy people. So it's to their benefit to take good care of people. And you're also seeing more insurance plans owned by hospital and healthcare systems. So I'm going to go through some what I call lucid charts here, and then I'll come back to this. But it's really to go back to what do you need to consider. And this is really the guts of what I want you to know. And if you want copies of this, just send me an email and put the word decision matrix in the subject line. I'll send you what I'm about to show you. I'm going to go to, let's see. I hate this little thing on. I've got to get this thing. Hold on a second. I've got to give you a different share. Here we go. All right. I have this for single individuals for, this happens to be adult couples, and I have it for single parents with children, et cetera. And these are all the factors that you need to think about. Okay. This happens to be an adult couple. And the first thing is, hey, are you over 65? In which case you're eligible for Medicare under 65. I want to spend a minute before I get into that, though, and the concept that is called unbundling. And this applies no matter what your age. If you have serious, expensive, potentially life-threatening physical, mental, or emotional health issues, then or your spouse or your child, then you have a different requirement for health care for that individual than people that may be more healthy. Well, in the employee health world, you just pick from plan A, B, or C, whatever the employer has to has to offer, if they offer 3 plans, oftentimes it's just one plan, that doesn't optimize the coverage for each member. And plans through the Affordable Care Act, it is really critical because, you know, maybe you have a child that has a specialist that specializes in a particular disease, or a spouse with type 1 diabetes who relies on an endocrinologist or skeletal issues. Well, by unbundling it, you don't have to have the same plan for every member in your family. It will cost you more if you do. You will see there's, for a couple, the difference in monthly premiums for a couple, for say a Blue Cross or even an Ambetter this year for their EPO plan, it can be as much as $1,000 more a month than some of these other carriers. So it behooves you to consider the plans for each member in your family, because you'll end up either spending too much or too little, or access to doctors or no access to doctors. It goes beyond that. It goes to medications. Some companies do only cover generic medications. They don't cover anything other than generics, but maybe you need a life-threatening MS drug, or your spouse needs some exotic medication, maybe an expensive insulin. Well, that's not available on some plans, but you don't know that if you're shopping globally, you know, for everybody for the same plan. I specialize in this. I help, you know, slice it and dice it so that it's to your advantage. You may have college students that are outside of Dallas-Fort Worth or in another state. You need to unbundle for that college student by geography, because there are no PPO plans in Texas. There are only EPO and HMO plans, like I mentioned. There's no coverage out of network except for the ability to have telemedicine. But that's not going to cover a college age student who's living in, say, Lubbock. Okay, now I can help either through the Affordable Care Act. First of all, I always suggest for college students looking to see if the college has a student health plan. Those tend to be PPOs, which will usually cover somebody if they're traveling home in the Metroplex and back at school both. So that's a good option. But you know, using some of the services I subscribe to, I can get all your intake of all your your meds, and determine which is best for each family member. And that saves money and also improves the value of the health care that you purchase. You still get the same premium tax credit regardless of what plans you select, but it takes the software I use to really kind of slice and dice this plan for this person, this plan for that person. Also, those of you that have had experience with high deductible health savings accounts or HSA eligible plans that allow you to put money into a health savings account to use for out-of-pocket medical expenses now and in the future, you can select that for yourself if you're healthy and don't need copays, or if you have a family member, say a child that's going to the doctor regularly, you want the benefit of fixed copays, you can select a different plan for that child that has copays, but still have an HSA eligible account for yourself and make a contribution to your own individual health savings account. So there's a lot of different angles that you wouldn't think of, it's kind of like doing your own taxes. You can go to a tax preparer, or you can go to somebody that really knows how to get the most out of it. And you know, in this case, you know, there's some basic information that I need, but it can save a ton of money, and it'll save you a ton of time that you could better spend on a job search. My approach is always, this is not forever insurance. This is just to cover you until you're eligible for your next group health plan, or until you hit age 65 Medicare. And so let me go through this a little bit. here now. You see that here I've explained to death this unbundling concept. You have differences in age. If you're under 65, let's deal with over 65 Medicare, because there's a couple of pitfalls here that are really important. When you're 65, you can, first of all, you need to sign up for Part A as an apple. That's what your unemployment taxes that have been deducted from your paycheck have paid for. As long as you have worked for 10 years, 40 quarters, then Medicare Part A is quote unquote free. It's no more, you're not paying anymore, but you've already paid it. Part B is what you're always going to be paying for. And between Part A and Part B, they cover 80% of your medical expenses, but there's no cap on that other 20%. So that will eventually break you. Now, if you go to work for an employer past age 65, you want to have Part A. Okay, it's essential you have Part A, because I've had clients that come to me and they're astounded when they learn that they were responsible for the portion that their insurance, their group insurance plan, they're responsible for the portion that Part A would have paid for. But if they didn't sign up for Part A, guess who's responsible for it? They could, if I had somebody with multiple bypasses who never signed up for Part A, and they were audited, and they were responsible for that money. That's a surprise you don't want. Now, if you're working for an employer, and this is often the case with people that are age 65, you work for a smaller company. If your company has less than 20 employees, you have to sign up for Part A and Part B. You have to sign up for Part B. You cannot remain on the employer's health plan. If you work for an employer that has more than 20 employees, then you have to have Part A, like I mentioned, and you can stay on the employer's plan, or you can go fully on a Medicare, which is Part A and Part B, and then supplemental coverage. If you go sign up for COBRA, and this happens sometime, maybe you don't get a notice, whoever reads the stuff you get from HR, sorry HR people, but who reads the stuff you get from your insurance company, or maybe your insurance company or your former employer neglects to send you the notification. If you are age 65 and you do not have Part A and Part B, and you're under age, you have less than 20 employees, if you sign up for COBRA, then guess what? You're not only leaving yourself exposed, but then you're subjecting yourself to penalties that accumulate for every month that you're without coverage. And you also cannot enroll in Medicare and in Part B until well, you can apply in the first quarter of the year, but the coverage doesn't go into effect until July. So the advice here, and there's some other things in here, the advice is never sign up for COBRA at age 65. You want to sign up for make sure you've already signed up for Part A. And the reason I'm bringing this up is so many people, especially today, in today's world, we're working beyond age 65. I have a ton of clients that I've known over the years, and they're working into their 80s, either on a full-time basis, sometimes on the mistaken belief that they're getting good coverage through their employer. Well, if they haven't signed up for Part A, then it's not so good. If they haven't working for a smaller company, less than 20 employees, it's not so good. But you end up with another issue here, and that is if you are working for a company, large or small, that does not have a drug benefit. In other words, it's a high deductible HSA eligible plan. That is not considered creditable coverage at age 65, which means that you are accumulating penalties that work out to about $1 a month for every year that you do not have supplemental coverage that have prescription drug benefit, either a standalone Part D plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. So there's a lot of stuff here. I've beat to death Medicare. I know that those of you that are under 64 probably couldn't give a hoot. So let me go back over here. If you're under 65, you're either employed or 1099 or employed, excuse me, unemployed or self-employed. If you go to work for a staffing agency, they usually offer what are called minimum value plans or MEC plans, minimum essential coverage plans. And that's not the same as a full-blown health insurance plan. A minimum value plan will have the lowest possible level of coverage, but it keeps you from, so it does more than a MEC plan, minimum essential coverage, and that's typically what a staffing agency will do. They offer those because those plans for an employer with over 50 employees, they have to offer at least minimum essential coverage, or they get fined, stiff fines of a couple $1,000s a year for each employee over 30 that does not have that was eligible but was not offered a plan that meets minimum value. So the employer is offering a minimum essential coverage plan, not for the benefit of the employee, but just to avoid the fines. And all those plans do is pay a little bit for, it pays for mandated wellness exams like mammogram, pap smear, colorectal exam, etc. They may also throw in a few dollars towards a copay over on top of the minimum value plan, but they're pretty minimal. And the issue here is, especially in a pandemic, if you get sick, seriously sick, or you get in an accident, which happens, then you're out of luck with the minimum essential coverage plan. Another option is COBRA. And if you're not eligible for a premium tax credit, COBRA is actually going to be more affordable in most cases. And it's liable to be a PPO plan. So it may be a good option. You may have heard for a lot of years that COBRA is so expensive, but without government subsidies, an individual plan can be really expensive. Plans through the Affordable Care Act are the only other place other than an employer plan or COBRA that will cover any and all pre-existing physical, mental, and emotional health issues. That's not to say they're affordable. Affordability has to do with your income and your household size and your age. Gender is no longer an issue, but income, household size, age, and where you live, your zip code and county, are what make the difference. So you've got a lot of things to think about here, but I get a lot of calls from people that are looking for the unicorn of health insurance. Mr. Mike, I want a plan I want a PPO plan. I just want catastrophic coverage, and I have to stop. I'm sorry, there's no PPO plans. There's every plan is kind of catastrophic when you think of it compared to an employer plan. So it's searching among the best plans that are available to help you make the best decision now. This is not a forever decision. When you're back working for an employer, the employer has to subsidize at least 50% of the cost of the premiums for the employee only, and often more than that. So it is just to tide you over to that point, or to when you're eligible for Medicare. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad plans and bad agents that sell that sell on the basis of price. That, hey, I can get you something that's as good as a plan on the Affordable Care Act, and it'll only cost you this. Be careful of that, because many of them are what are called indemnity plans that pay a fixed amount of dollars for, let's say, an accident or an illness. They may have a benefit for up to $5,000 in hospitalization, or $10,000 in the event of an accident. Well, those plans are not to be relied on, but if you buy them on the basis of price, then you're taking undue risk. You may want to consider, for instance, because there are not plans that cover you out of network, and those networks are geographically based, you may want to consider an accident-only plan. For instance, I help people that go on ski trips. All right, they want to have some coverage to protect themselves against, broken leg or knee or something while in Colorado in a few months. Well, an accident plan can do that fairly affordably, because it's an accident only and it covers out of the area, but it's not as comprehensive at all as a plan to the Affordable Care Act. So it's knowing what is you're buying. You can also, if you are, let's say you have somebody in your family that has a serious, chronic, expensive health condition. If you have your own business, maybe you're a consultant, or like me, you're an agent. You can set up your own group health plan. However, you have to set up a payroll. And you have to have one other person with a different last name, so it can't be a spouse. You can't set up a group health plan with as few as 2. And if your income, and the only reason you'd want to do this is if your income is so high that you don't qualify for premium tax credit, or you need access to the providers that are in a PPO network, and you simply can't get one through Affordable Care Act plan. So that's an option for you. You also have Christian healthcare sharing ministry programs that are not insurance, but are pretty darn good value for healthy people that don't smoke, drink, or abuse drugs. However, because health insurance is on sale for the last couple of years, I've recommended people to, hey, let's go through and see if you're eligible for a premium tax credit, because a plan that covers all pre-existing conditions, mental, emotional, and physical, where these don't cover pre-existing conditions, at least for the first 3 years, and don't cover mental and emotional. Oftentimes now, in more cases than not, the plans to the Affordable Care Act are a better option. You can also purchase a short-term health plan that covers you just for a specific number of days. It's useful when you're trying to get to the end of the year, when you can get into a plan through the Affordable Care Act, or maybe you have a child that's starting a new job and will be eligible for insurance, so you can purchase just a number of days. So that's an option. You also have in Texas and in every state, you have Medicaid. In Texas, unlike other states, you must be a pregnant mother, you must be under the age of 19, or you must be age 65 and indigent, basically less than $10,000 in assets and income, less than Social Security income, in order to qualify for Medicaid in Texas. Whereas other states have expanded Medicaid, and it's, for instance, Arkansas, you can't, under $13,000 of household income, you can qualify for Medicaid in Arkansas. Also, those of you that travel, and I'm talking outside of the United States, any group health plan or an individual plan, if you're going on, it's tough to go on a cruise these days, but let's say you're getting a COVID vacation to Tulum or Cancun or something, you're not covered under your health plan. So you can get international insurance that will cost, when I travel, it's usually like $100 for a 2-week trip, and it includes air evacuation. It's a pretty good value for what it covers. Now, the worst thing you can do, so if all these different options, I don't expect you to remember it, but I study this, and this may change, and I'll update these charts as they change. But the worst thing you can do, there's so many options right now. There's no reason for there to be 4.5 million people in Texas without insurance. I can tell you that a delay in enrollment, whether it's Medicare, it will lead to lifetime penalties, and it will lead to, hey, you can't sign up until January for coverage beginning July. Same thing happens with under 60. He who hesitates is lost. So don't wait until the last day. This is life-threatening. Waiting to the last day on your taxes means you submit a form to Uncle Sam to have a late, to file late, a late filing form. But when you're walking around in a pandemic, and I can't tell you how many people I talk to that don't have insurance, it's just an unnecessary risk, especially when there are so many options that are subsidized. Let's see, I'm gonna, some of these other options, you have TRICARE, thank you for your service if you're a veteran. And really, that's about it as far as the decision making goes. And probably bored to death or confused a number of people that have tuned out. But I want to make sure you know that you don't want to. The takeaway is that you don't want to. You can, from a simplicity standpoint, have everybody in your household on the same plan. But you're probably leaving money on the table. You're not optimizing your doctors. You're not optimizing your medications that you need. And you're paying too much for some people and too little for other people. So it's not optimized. And that's what I can help you with. I'm going to go back to the first. I've got a couple more screens and then I'll take questions, and feel free to call me. I'm not going to put my phone to voicemail for a couple more hours here, but I want to bring up a couple more slides here. Let's see. Where are we? All right. So this is what I do. There's no cost. Robert Kiyosaki, you may have heard of. His quote that I like is that your most expensive advice is the free advice you receive from your financially struggling friends and neighbors. In my business, that's not advice, that's opinions. You have to be licensed and certified, and then you're just dangerous. You have to have experience in dealing with this, and I've been doing this for close to 19 years now, actually. And I don't push one company. I find out what the needs are, and then I find the right thing. And I'm blessed to have tons of clients and people that ask me to do webinars like this who know I'll always do the right thing. And I think I've gotten to the end of here we go. So, again, don't chase unicorns. Put your time into your job search. You can control that. A 5-minute phone call is what this will take. Don't waste your time or risk mistakes. Don't email me. I think I made that clear. Also, I'm one of the top 20 people in Dallas-Fort Worth, top 10, I think, in terms of LinkedIn connections. So please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you see somebody and I'm coming up on 20,000 LinkedIn connections. If there's anybody in the Metroplex or elsewhere that I have a personal connection, I'll be happy to make an introduction if I have that personal connection. Be more than happy to help you in your job search, because that's how you really win the healthcare game, is to have the employer pay for part of it. So if you want to do it yourself, you can, but you're going to waste time. Just like doing your own taxes if you don't work with a professional. But if you do it, you can enter my name, email address, and my NPN number, and then that allows me to represent you to the insurance company and represent you to Healthcare.gov or any other insurance company or entity, and that's keeps me going. You may know of people that have become underemployed or unemployed this year that could benefit from this. Jeff has kindly agreed to post this, and I'm more than happy to take phone calls. Emails are going to take some time, especially over the next 5 days. Then things free up a little bit for me. But you can schedule an appointment if you want to fiddle with listening to a bot and answering questions and get scheduled, I'll do that, but I'll leave my phone on for the next couple of hours before I take it to voicemail. And, you know, there's no cost for this, but hopefully you've gotten a flavor for how you can save money and how you can make the best decision, optimize your decision for each family member. And if you know people that are in that situation or that are approaching Medicare age, please have them contact. You know, I'll help them. It's an education process. And, you know, this is like drinking from a fire hose. I've covered probably 10% of what I would normally do in making recommendations, but I'll do it quickly and I won't waste your time. And I'm not going to, believe me, I'm not going to be spamming you or cold calling you or bothering you. I've got plenty to do and plenty of clients to assist, but my job is to help as many people as possible get covered and make the best decision when it comes to their healthcare. And I appreciate it. I'm going to shut up and take questions.
Mike, thank you very, very much. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please, nothing, you don't want it to be too specific about your case. If it's a general question, that's the time to do it now. If you want to ask a specific question, you need to reach out to Mike directly and give him a call. So just want to bring it up. So if you got a question, please unmute your mic and ask away.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So if I'm not 65, but I'm approaching it in the next year or two, when do I start looking at Medicare and not getting penalized for being late or what? I'll be going over all your information again, Mike, but just at what point do I need to really start the Medicare process?
Well, I'm kind of glib and have a sense of humor if you haven't picked that up. Some people call me a smarty, but you will know because every insurance company and every agent under the sun has bought lists from credit card companies. You are going to get pounded to death about 3 months past your 64th birthday.
Okay.
And then you're going to get pounds of junk mail. And you're going to be going like this through your spam, you know, sending to spam every day. I've had people show up at my front door, even though I'm in the business. So they will seek you out. But to give you a more specific question, you can't do anything until 3 months before your 65th birthday. You are eligible for Medicare on the first of your birthday month, unless your birthday happens to be on the first of the month, and then it's the first of the previous month.
Okay.
So, but 3 months out, you can sign up for Part A and B, and then depending upon whether you plan on working and staying on employer plan or the size of the company you're working for, all that other stuff, you know, don't stress about it. And ignore all that stuff because every agent, every insurance company will tell you that theirs is the best.
Right.
So my birthday happens to be the first of the month. That means that my eligibility will actually be a month earlier.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You just save some money.
Yeah. Good news for me.
Mike, I have a question about,
Sure, Ken.
I'm on Medicare,
Mhm.
Original Medicare, and I chose the Plan F with United American.
Yeah.
And I have a high deductible. I pay $67 a month,
Mhm.
in addition to, you know, whatever the Medicare costs. And the reason I did it was I know a friend that had an operation, hip operation last year, and couldn't go into, they wouldn't pay for a rehab hospital, and the PPO wouldn't pay for it. And so the only way you could really do it is under Original Medicare, from what I understand. And then the out-of-pocket is $3,000 with United American. So there's a lot of advantages to it. So that's what I chose to do. You have any comments?
Yeah. for those that are approaching it, you have original Medicare, A and B. And with original, and that's what you buy from Uncle Sam. You get the red, white, and blue card that with the Medicare number on it. That covers 80% of your medical expenses. Now, after that, then you can purchase a Medicare Advantage plan, which has a network of doctors, and it has a deductible and copays, just kind of like you're used to. But there's more management of the health costs. The idea of a Medicare Advantage, these are private plans that are designed to manage the cost of a large population. The alternative to that is what's called a Medicare supplement plan, which is what Kevin described. Plan F is in Frank, a high deductible plan. Any Medicare supplement plan, you can see any doctor anywhere in the country. For instance, if you wanted to go to, let's say John Hopkins, or you wanted to go MD Anderson, you're not going to get there with the Medicare Advantage plan. You could with a Medicare supplement plan. So it impacts not only the cost, but also impact and what your out-of-pocket expenses, but also your access to care. When you first turn 65, you can sign up for a Medicare supplement plan without answering health-related questions. After that period of time, if you want to change your plan, even in Kevin's case, from one plan to another Medicare supplement plan within the same company, or change companies, you have to answer medical questions, and that application will be underwritten, and you will be either denied coverage or rated up ridiculously if you have moderate to severe health issues. So the decision at age 65 as to which way to go. All the ads that you see on TV right now and all the junk mail you get, 99.99% of them are for Medicare Advantage plans, because that's where the profits are for the insurance company. And Uncle Sam wants to be able to manage down the cost of healthcare, and the Medicare Advantage does that. A Medicare Advantage plan gets about $4,400 from Uncle Sam for every Medicare Advantage recipient. The Medicare Advantage carrier's job then is to make a profit and pay overhead on that $4,400. A Medicare supplement plan, you can get first, second, third opinions. There's no limit to it as long as it's a medically approved expense, and you can see any doctor anywhere in the country or hospital that accepts Medicare. So you pay more for it. A Medicare supplement, well, first of all, Part B premiums, you can figure on about next year's $171. Okay, no matter your age. When you're age 65, you can get a Medicare supplement. Plan G is in GOAT, which is all that anybody born after 1954 can get. They can't get a Plan F. A Plan G will cost at age 65 maybe $145, and it'll go up. At age 70, it may be $165. So it doesn't go up nearly as much as you're used to in insurance premiums. And then you get a standalone Medicare Part D prescription drug plan based on the meds that you're taking. And those can run from $7 to say $30 for the most part. Some are more expensive. And then all you pay are your copays.
I do want to let everybody know that this PowerPoint presentation, I will send out, Mike sent it to me as a PDF form, so I will send this out to everybody this afternoon. So you'll have all this detailed information, phone numbers, and you'll be able to go back and look at the charts.
Quick question. Could you please put up the slide with the info you would need for us to have when contacting?
Oh, sure, absolutely. How do I pronounce your name? Is it Kamani?
Yes, thank you.
All right, sure, Kamani. Let me get to that screen. All right. Like Social Security numbers, you don't want to text that to me, but I'll need your home zip code, your names, their dates of birth, who needs coverage, because it's not only the people that I need to know, not only the people that need coverage, but also the people in the household that don't need coverage. It all makes a difference in how much you pay. And then if anybody's like a student living in Lubbock, I need to know that because they'd be outside of the network area here. And then any really key doctors, first and last names, and I know some names are hard to spell, but do your best, and where their office is located, and then information on meds. And then, then I'll do the homework. And even with, a complex case, the record this year was helping someone with 45 doctors determine which, you have to wonder how they get any work done if they, but hey, it doesn't matter. If
it's a challenge, yes.
If they're, my job is to help everybody, not just the easy ones. So
thank you so much for the service, both Mike and Jeff, really.
And this, like I said, this information will be in the PDF that you get. As long as I have your contact information in the chat box, I'll be sure to get it out to everybody this afternoon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mike, I'm interested in a little bit more comments on the impact of lowering the age for Medicare. I mean, it's tough right now sometimes to find doctors who will take patients on Medicare, and enlarging that population, I think, is going to be a huge impact on healthcare period in this country.
Well, you have 10,000 people becoming 65 every day too. So that us baby boomers aren't getting any younger. That's happening. But you're right. Doctors, what's happened though is the Marcus Welby individual doctors practices, those don't exist anymore. Doctor has to belong to a practice that has the software and the overhead to be able to survive. And a lot of doctors become employees of Baylor or Optum Health that is owned by United Healthcare, because that's the only way that they can never afford that kind of investment on their own. They can, but just like the business world, pay for performance, that is being ingrained into our healthcare system. And that's different from what we have been used to growing up, where it's fee for service. Hey, I showed up at the doctor's office and pay $30 and that's what the doctor gets, or 100 or whatever. But the whole idea of pay for performance is that Uncle Sam wants to pay those providers, those those pharmacies, those hospitals that are doing a better job than average on a whole wide range of stuff.
Do you see companies not insuring employees who are eligible for Medicare?
I would say most don't. They can. In most cases, it's to the benefit of the employee to be on Medicare, unless the employer is paying 100% of the premiums, or a big, like 80% or something, or the employee has a spouse or a child that has expensive medical expenses and they're not eligible for Medicare for a while, if they have a younger spouse or child. But generally speaking, 9 times out of 10, Medicare's better coverage and less expense.
That may help companies in the long run reduce their medical expenses and benefits to employees.
Yeah, and there's, believe me, I'm politics aside, and I stay apolitical, but we don't think that we don't already have socialized medicine. Okay. We've got Affordable Care Act, we've got TRICARE, we've got government health care, we've got VA, we have Medicare. It is all socialized, and that's the biggest expense. I think it's even bigger than what we spend on military now, is healthcare in this country, and it's growing at a unsustainable rate. So something has to be done to get more value out of it.
Marcia, I see your mic is unmuted. Do you have a question?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I had one earlier.
I have a question. Mike, I told you what my situation was. So I'm talking to different companies now, and I think what I heard was you want to keep A, sure. And then B, like I have, would be depending on what the employer offers. But because I have Medicare, is he protected legally from not insuring me? Is it just an option he can choose or not to do?
Well, if the company has more than 20 employees, you can choose to be on their plan. If you're looking at smaller companies, then Medicare isn't an option for you. So, but the employer, whatever the premium is, they can't treat you differently. Now, asking the employer to pay for part of your Medicare, like your Part B premiums or Medicare Advantage, the employer can set that up through a health reimbursement arrangement to pay a fixed portion for anybody's health insurance, whether it's over 65 Medicare or under 65, but not that many companies have adopted it yet. But I will tell you also that having your own insurance and telling an employer or hiring manager in an interview that, hey, I don't want your stinking insurance. That gives you an advantage from a job seeker perspective over the next person who may be 20 years younger than you, that maybe has a wife who has they plan on raise a family, and the employers, the hiring manager is, hey, this person's liable to be expensive. I'm liable to have to pay for 2 pregnancies. Don't think those kind of conversations don't happen.
Well, I'll let them know that I'm single and dating. Take that for wherever it's worth. But the thing that, in the past, I've had some super healthcare, with IBM, super coverage, use super coverage. And one thing that's missing with original Medicare is dentistry and vision. So if you can get on the company plan and maybe even keep your Medicare B or supplement, it's the way to go, because for me, it's not that much more money. But that's the advantage, is the dentistry and, vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bonnie says, I hope you're recording this. And yes, I'm still recording all the Q&A. So this will all be up on the CareerDFW website later, or be up on the CareerUSA YouTube channel later this afternoon.
Am I going to be sought after? Am I going to get a subpoena after me or something? I hope not.
No, you haven't said anything damaging yet.
Okay, I better shut up then. I'm getting kind of loose tongue now.
Yeah.
Say, Mike, could you explain the different letters, the FG, and I don't know what others, the classifications for Medicare, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay. What do you buy from Uncle Sam? You buy it at you buy it on a very hard to find webpage at socialsecurity.gov. That makes total sense, right? But you buy A and B, or you don't buy, you buy Part B and you sign up for Part A and B at socialsecurity.gov. And that costs, for 2022, that'll be $171.10 across the board. Unless, I forgot to mention, unless your income is high. If your household income is within certain brackets, then you also pay a Robin Hood tax known as IRMA, IRMAA, that will raise that as much to over $500,000, from 171.10 to as much as more than 3 times that, depending upon your income. And it will also increase your drug benefit. So most people, 92% of Americans, never see IRMA. But let's say you sell a house or you have an extraordinary bonus or something, you could get into IRMA situation where you're paying that Robin Hood tax. Now, so that's what you buy from Uncle Sam. Then Medicare supplement, age 65, it'll run $145 or less if you're a woman in the Metroplex, and it'll cover every, first, second, and third opinion. Your only out-of-pocket medical expense will be the deductible. The calendar year deductible this year is $230. So you pay that, and then you have basically unlimited health care, which is
Well-
why Uncle Sam wants to sell Medicare Advantage plans, because they want to manage it with that.
Well, Mike, I think what Jeff was asking is, so you mentioned A, B,
Mhm.
and then D is
D is
Uh,
drugs.
the drug policy.
Uh-huh.
And then what other, you said F, I think is the new one now, or F or G?
Yeah,
is-
you have, oops, let's see. Sorry, you have A and B is what you buy from Uncle Sam. Then
What's
you,
A and B?
that's original Medicare. That's what you get. That covers 80% of your medical expenses, no prescriptions, and no cap on that other 20%. Then you buy either a Medicare Advantage plan that includes prescription drug benefits in most cases, and will have a network of doctors, and will have out-of-pocket expenses, and usually a medical expense risk of anywhere from $3,900 to as high as $7,000 in network, or if you purchase a PPO plan that has out-of-network coverage, then it could be double that for out-of-network coverage. It limits your access to doctors, to those that are in the network, or you pay more out-of-network with a Medicare Advantage plan. But those are the ones that you see advertised as zero premium. Well, what they tout in those ads is, hey, we have a free gym membership, or we have some free dental. But what they don't explain in those ads, those 30 seconds ads, is but you're also taking on all this extra medical expense risk and limitations to your doctors, versus purchasing a Medicare supplement plan, which you can do when you turn 65 without having to answer any medical questions. You can do that at age 65 when you first become Medicare eligible, or when you first sign up for Part B, if you've been on an employer plan. Then a Medicare supplement plan, you're paying, instead of zero, you're paying $145, but your out-of-pocket expense is really low. Now, think about somebody who at age 66 develops a chronic, life-threatening, expensive condition. So they're now looking at $4,000 to, say, $10,000 out-of-pocket expenses every year for the rest of their life. And they can only go to certain doctors. And maybe they have a plan that they have to get a referral from a primary care physician to see a specialist, and they can't go to MD Anderson. Well, you're paying less for that in premiums, but you're taking on more risk, and those expenses will go on for the rest of your days above ground. So you're paying more for low and certain healthcare expenses, only a couple $100 with a Medicare supplement plan, versus paying less in premiums, but having more medical expense risk and less access to care with a Medicare Advantage plan.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you. We're at the bottom of the hour here. If anybody has questions, you're welcome to reach out to Mike directly. Like I said, I will be sure to put out the PowerPoint that has all the contact information and details here in just a second. Next Friday, we'll be talking about, it's our last meeting of the month. We'll talk about taxes, a 2021 wrap up, what you need to do to think about preparing for taxes. So we'll take care of your healthcare today. We'll take care of your taxes next week. Mike, if you would, please go ahead and put if you'll put your contact information back in the chat window, that'd be appreciated. I know that it would be really helpful. It's Michael
sure.
Chapman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only got called Michael when I got disciplined as a kid. So.
Well, but when you look up on LinkedIn, you're Michael. You're not Mike.
Yeah, I know. I answered anything.
Well, yeah.
But feel free to call me if you want to schedule some time. That's the number to call. I cannot keep up with emails this time of year, so it's best to call or text. I'm good at texting.
Right.
Like, what's your geo in LinkedIn? Because there's a lot of Mike Chapmans in there.
Mike, I'm the younger, handsomer one.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm kidding. It's Michael, LinkedIn.
I'll put the information in the email going out this afternoon.
Okay.
I'll get
Sounds
that
good.
out to everybody.
All right. Thank you.
I'll put it out there because I want to wrap up here. All right. If you've not put your 30-second introductions into the Zoom chat window, please do so. That way you'll be sure to get the handout that we talked about today. Also, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Next Tuesday, Ruth Lipsky will be talking LinkedIn search engine optimization. On Wednesday, our special guest speaker, Jack Bick, will be talking about clarity when you need it most in interviewing. And then for resume Thursday, Tony Bashira will be with us to talk about the top 10 big mistakes of resume writing. And that'll be next week. This session has been recorded. It will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the CareerUSA YouTube channel. On the CareerUSA YouTube channel, click on playlist and then select the list you want: resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas, Plano Career Focus Group speakers. That's where this session will be. Don't click on the video, but down below, click where it says view full playlist, and up will come a list of all the different events that are in that particular playlist. The newest one should be on top. Click on the little sort button if the newest one's not on top. Like I said, it'll take probably 3 or 4 hours for this to be uploaded to YouTube this afternoon. So give it a few hours before it'll be back up there. If you want to join us today for lunch, Jason's Deli, 12:30, 1 hour from now. We'll meet you at Jason's Deli, corner of Parker and Preston. Hope to see you there. And thank you for joining us. Mike, thank you very much for your time. Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.